Hello, Trinity College. There's a former director of the FBI. His name is Robert Luskin. He's a former standing chairperson on Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organization Act and the Corrupt Organizations Act, organized crime statute, who is and has been involved with various natures and methods of organized crime with people from Weathersfield, Connecticut. Also involved with predicate acts on and off Trinity College and on and off Central Connecticut State University and on and off locations next to it. This has been a method that since been before our founders were even born. For example, where and how fake integrity of the law and of the law's voices regarding, really what our means are, really what the condition of life in the cities are. For example, since before our founders were even born, the suburbs of Weathersfield, Connecticut were tactically, in the suburbs across the globe, they were tactically denatured. Before our founders were even born, slavery was entrenched north and south. People don't realize this because they have all the names of history there. All truths have been used for lies. And we have people speaking about truth anyway. All fake, styles of fake. Because you guys are a certain type of victims that reacted wrong. And those reactions or non-reactions, they were applied to hurt others. So these are more people with a principal sex offenders campus who was I caught with other natures of child abuse. Obviously, more roles with that. Also with people on Facebook, like a Joshua Julian on the principal child sex offenders Facebook page. New Britain Superior Court's Facebook page is also with a bunch of accounts with the name KNERR. Also, so a whole bunch of people from Trinity College have and had roles with an untimely death, real or made up, on Trinity College's campus that was and is involved with Weathersfield police families, involved with families near me in Weathersfield, who had also been timed roles with natures of identity theft, fraud, slanders behind my back in Central Connecticut State University, spots on all sides of that. These are some military police families and people on off the state judicial branch offices in Weathersfield, Connecticut, and on off the state prison offices, Weathersfield slash Hartford, the way it is there, and the spots next to those spots. This has been so long that it has all formal corruption at databases tied locations, so long that it had locked roles with the illusions self-valued by the people next to these locations. This breaching method that American history is more and more about, simultaneously, while it is about the things that we know is about, it effectively employed everyone to blame other things, others, or ourselves for what it caused. So we were told that George Washington said he could tell no lies. We were supposed to explain, for example, common sense, not because of that, not for decipher overtly. We're supposed to get the Constitution unabridged. We're supposed to explain and understand how North and South sickly distinctly that breaching method before our founders were even born had entrenched slavery. And therefore rolls with all kinds of, worse than racketeering, worse than war crimes, aspects and qualities to their fact-cheating nature, styles. This method knew that they would have to blame other things, others, or themselves, because nature would keep the demonstrating negative value itself, the breaching method as the cause, the real cause of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures. So there was a Joshua Stryker also involved with a girl from my town. I don't know her name. She knows my name. She made confessions and statements to me when I would be coming around a corner at school. I never had a class with her, never sat with her. In other words, they would know where I was going to be and make it look like I was friends with people that I wasn't. These are people involved with falsified police reports through time. Further, with the principal sex offenders campus. Now they want to, they pretend, for example, they want privacy, and I'm the one who doesn't want privacy. I asked 50,000 times online to give me something on paper, because when I went to courts, when they put their little falsified police reports, when I caught them with the principal child abuser first, they hid that by fabricating emails with WTNH. Please fix that, WTNH. And WFSB. Please fix your wire crimes with them too. These are also a whole bunch of names on and off Elm Street in Rocky Hill and on and off Elm Street in Wethersfield that are involved with federal crimes, on and off Central Connecticut State University and on and off Trinity College, federal rules of evidence crime, identity theft, fraud, slander, natures of stuff behind people's backs, and sequence shifts. So they have this guy, not even the same day they admitted it. They admitted it afterwards. There's a Dean Alford who pretends I had communications with Elizabeth Berger that was never at all. Not the nature that they said, and wasn't the way they said it. So he called me in there. Then the next day he was standing with the Joshua Stryker. He did that same thing when I was a kid. I don't even know him. That's why he made an exception to know it. He had a girl made confessions about which is proven too. There's various natures of federal criminals. So 3 of them were co-defendants, a former director of the FBI in a 2006 district court case. Thaddeus Grabowski, also involved on and off Fox Connecticut News with 2 Mendez police brothers and with 2 Domain police brothers. A whole bunch of people tied to them. Involved with identity theft, fraud, fake ties to me, fake natures, ties to me, fake communications with me. Kid yell something over, not even yell, because we're in a little classroom, and he'd bring up Jewish all the time. These are people that are Jewish themed. They would have racially charged, all this other stuff, language, and then they pretend to be against it because they're trying to paint people into I didn't speak like Ray Clough and Paul Zano, who I barely knew. I only know they used to go Jew in front of me, and then I never see him again. Then they did a sequence shift. He was already graduated, apparently, unless he came for half a year in 1994 with Luigi Guerrero. I don't even know his sister's name. I don't know if that's one of the ones related to her too on Ponside near me. There's a Jamie Smith who also has roles in Wethersfield Police Department with the selling of ecstasy and with some girl who had an untimely death that's connected to the group as the group that was on off Trinity College. I don't know who died, untimely death. And now my professor, Hugh Ogden, he's reported he died before I got to finish because he was influenced by it. And Dr. Shub of Modern Languages also made confessions and demonstrations of having been influenced on and off the campuses with people involved on Elm Street and Rocky Hill. Now these are people. There's a Mark Violet and a Mike Violet involved with people with black-white themed, KKK themed, and black themed military police forms. Involved with the houses on my street when they were little kids. I mean, I never saw Mike Violet on my street in my life. I never had a conversation with my life, like words. I was briefly in his presence before. So these are people with UConn too. And there's a Jonathan Mayano. And he's got his brothers and family members involved with this too. Pretending I knew Marco. And there's an Alex Mayano. He had to make a fake exception to pretend to know me because they had pretended other behind my back Interstates, too, has something to do with the roles with the intelligence community, state police, interstates, with Vermont, Connecticut, Rhode Island. Now, these are people on off the World Trade Center, and there's that work with that military too. That have been preventing me and others from reporting what's tied to it. Proven after the World Trade Center attack, from inside the Ninth Circuit Court, they had post-dated documents from inside the Ninth Circuit Court to appear late to the panel of judges right before the World Trade Center attack. That was proven after the attack. And that led up to a 2006 district court case with defendant, former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and his co-defendants, also who had been coordinating predicate acts and wrongdoing and roles with that against me on and off the campuses I went to. Central Connecticut State University, record, confess, demonstrate, confirm they have a whole bunch of people associated with DeMoros and Scaloras. There's a Scalora family, didn't even go to my school. I never had anything to do with somebody Scalora. He pretended to know me with some of the places involved with the police forms. You know, they try to get you arrested by yelling things, by being punk, little, in other words. They picked the little punks. They picked the, for identity theft fraud, they're lying about what they believe about people's passions and emotions and about their own. They prevent people from calmly fixing what is overtly / insidiously, simultaneously sick since founding. Now, these are also people involved on and off the state prison offices. There's a guy, I think his name is Dave. I don't know. I never had anything to do with him. He's one of the ones who's, in other words, who's involved with influences over people and communications with me about people at boxing gyms, where there are judges and prosecutors criminally involved with the uses of the sense and sensibilities of people from backgrounds with these little rap traps. They want to be called rat trap too, because it makes it sound like they're telling the truth. They don't have the integrity to tell the truth since founding. Plus, their delusions raw. Now, there's a Leahy family of doctors that pretended conversations with me. They have whole generations of their family that work at Alford Hospital, for example, with the mental health part of it. They've been using those places. Whole bunch of people tied to it. Mark Violet and a Mike Violet with the intelligence community, also next to on off Hartford Hospital and the spots next to it. Involved with, I don't know if it's undercover prostitution. They had roles with the prostitution with DeMoral family members and with Eric Jensen. Also with the police forms in Newington, spots near Eric Jensen's house, which is right next to Dominic Lapriato, one of the co-defendants and former director of the FBI. Involved also right before that case in 2006, Thaddeus Grabowski recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed threats to me, recorded credible, and repeated and timed, demonstrated roles with Eric Jensen and some girl that went out with there's an Alison Mulcahy. I don't know her sister's name, her mother, her parents' names. But these are houses all along Hangdog Lane, where it runs into Two Rod Highway. And all along Two Rod Highway are people I don't know at all, people who made fake exceptions to pretending to know me, that were and are involved with the narratives insidiously of the fake punk narratives of the people around me on my street. Then they're going to pretend it's me. I tried to, I mind my own, but I don't care about what they do. I don't care what they do. As long as they don't hurt people, I don't care. You do what you want to do. I'm not trying to judge you. Now, these are the people who judge other people because they heard something that someone did. Oh, there's someone did from fakes in the background. These are people with the unions too. There's a local 230, and there are some people that work with Stop and Shop involved with this. There are retired and standing managers of that shopping, and people associated with that shopping center before it was even Stop and Shop. I don't know what it was, where it's in different spots. There's a Bonin family, and his neighbors are also involved with people on the Board of Education. I never had a conversation in my life with them. See, everyone speaks through others, and they repeat that, and they pretend they know you. Oh, I saw him there. I don't know Maria Vizino. She sought me out to make fake exceptions. There's a Steven Stocco. Only conversation I had with him in my life, I called as Maria there at Weathersfield Pizza. He hung up the phone, and Weathersfield police called me, told me not to call him back again. See, they're playing this game that they're preventing me means to counter what they initiated. It's also involved those predicate acts. That's right next to the state judicial branch offices. No, Weathersfield Pizza. These are also people on and off Central Connecticut State University involved with predicate acts with their professors, and these are in police forms that are worthless, that are pretending other. Now, we have a whole bunch of names that you guys brought into this, and you keep bringing in more. They switched names into branch. When we were in the Britain Superior Court, they kept making us come back to the Britain Superior Court. They hurt you one way if you're alone. They hurt you one way if you go with people. They attach everyone to fake words, fake ties to other people, fake natures of ties to other people, and with the news multi-front. While they prevent writing and add confessions, they switch for arresting officers' names. Then they don't give you anything to respond to because they only put a charge with fake writing and switching officers' names with ones that weren't even there. There's a Detective Samuda, for example, on and off Central Connecticut State University, criminally involved. There's a Robert Chevrolet, who's the lawyer of Robert Luskin and his three co-defendants. The former standing chairperson on Racketeering Influence Corrupt Organization Act, former director of the FBI, was a defendant in a 2006 district court part of the case that was ongoing at the time of my father's death. Now, there's also people that were pretending to know me at Trinity College by yelling out things about my father, and I couldn't see who was saying it, because these are little punk games they play from backgrounds. Now they have this Joshua Stryker. This guy made all confessions. He didn't use Joshua Stryker's name, but then he scanned it the next time. When a girl made confessions about her friends. There's a girl from my high school. I never had a class with her at any other school. I never saw her around. She made confessions about her roles with, like, for example, the family members, like John LeConte is one of the co-defendants of former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin. These were various natures of federal criminals proven in other cases, like a Dominic Lapriata involved with union money thefts. And he's one of the ones on Dearborn Street in in Newington. And there's a street near there, like where Ray Clow lived. Ray Reynolds too is someone that was in my kindergarten class, who they hooked up with roles with predicate acts with Ray Clow, more than one Ray Clow, and a Joe DeMora with the Weathersfield police. Now, these are police that have been preventing writing since I was a kid, and other people were kids. These are crime methods they have. These are some sick people that are also involved on and off the state prison offices with the same names on my street. Like there's a Jamie Smith, a David Smith, and their mother has roles. I don't know if it's a relative. Maybe it looked like it might have been the kid of Jamie Smith, who looks kind of similar to him. But he's one of the ones with his doctors and the people at Hartford Hospital involved pretending conversations with me. Also with people all of a sudden they all go in. They have mental problems because they have to hide life progressions when they force people from yelling. Because I tried calmly first, and I caught them. This was a game. When I was a little kid, there was a Debbie Gold. She's still criminally involved too. With her father, Mayor Gold. Now there's also people that recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed that Lee Gold and other people in their family are criminally involved with them. And with forensics locations. There are a whole bunch of people that worked at forensics locations that have been involved through time with various natures of federal crimes, federal rules of evidence crimes, with names on my street, names tied to the ones on my street, and the street over with the Smith family, with the Wethersfield police. Now, they brought this up. They also have criminally foreign influence uses of corners of streets, timing where you're going to be walking. So I took a cab home from downtown Hartford one night. He's right there walking. Wants me to go to his house to do ecstasy. I never had anything to do with him since I was a little kid. A couple times we played around Brook. In other words. So they should not pretend that they're mad when they hear this. They should get the goddamn name on paper. Excuse my language. So this Joshua Stryker, too. In other words, I told the girl, just before that was proven, she was involved with a whole bunch of federal criminals and their kids. These are people involved with overt criminal enterprises with the areas, too. Especially even if they were undercover police forms, because they have their acting teachers involved criminally with them, with the corner of Church Street and Main Street in Old Wethersfield. And you note that how that road, Main Street, turns into Wells Road, goes all the way through Newington into Central Connecticut State University, on off all sides of that campus, including the southern side, Paul Manafort Drive, on off Paul Manafort Drive, Central Connecticut State University. They have a little thing where, people's cars get towed because they park in the business there. And they make it look like it's the only reason they're planting things, the fake ties to people. So there's a Jennifer Cormier, or Jennifer, that's different, Jennifer. A Jennifer, I don't know her last name. I remembered it only from others. And one of the Spada sisters. Also, there's a William Ravis with a woman named Shields involved with the Spada house. Please, before they move from that house, their neighbor is involved with a Phil Claw. There's a Bob Chase who recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. He was supposed to read a police report to me that Phil Claw was on, but they didn't read it to me. I never had anything to do with Phil Claw. I walked by him a couple times. One time, was he was involved with one of the people I caught with Facebook, with crimes with people on off the principal sex offenders page, Facebook page of the campus. These are also people on off New Britain Superior Court's Facebook page and other campuses speaking fake things because they have the investigators of such criminally foreign influenced. They have been predicate acts methods in cases since founding. See whites of eyes, black pupils. Here! So let's get them onto paper and see what the heck they were saying behind my back, because it's all fake. Now there's a Mike Pandolf, who's also one of the ones involved, intercities on off the campuses, with the names putting fake things in little tricks to pretend they had a conversation with you. I never had a personal conversation, not one word, with the teacher I had in my speech class when I was in high school. Now, some girl they affected confessions about her ties to Washington, D.C. I don't even know her name. She knows my name. Remember her? I never had anything to do with those people. They all the exception nature is is part of what they're doing. So we need to get people onto paper, because there's also people tied to a modern pastry who recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed involvements with them. There's a Fred Guzet, who's one of the people. There was a line of people. Every once in a while, a new year, a new person will come and seek me out to make confessions and demonstration about their roles with other houses and people in my area. What they were doing was making it look like we're all, like, say, if you try to go back and talk about it, it makes it look like you know those people. It makes it look like you were all friends. These little rap mobs playing something. They have a whole bunch of people. There's families that associated with Central Connecticut State University in New Britain that affected confessions to me when I was a kid. They just make, or statements in the form of, in other words, it becomes a confession afterwards. Doesn't even make sense. When they why they would point out about Central Connecticut State University to me when I was in grammar school, and then further when I was in high school. Now there's a Dean Judd and his son, who's also involved with people that work at Hartford courts, that were involved with the deposition of Robert Luskin, the former FBI director, and his co-defendants. 3 of them criminally involved with people that went to schools I went to. I never had anything to classes with them too. I never had one class with Joe DeMauro. The only time I remember was one time in a class in 5th grade. I don't even know if he was in my class. I was told to do a maze by him, by a Pruzzi family, a Mr. Pruzzi, and also a family. These are people also involved with the parks, like the parks in Wethersfield. They have I don't know the guy's name, but we could find his name. He used to work with the community center. The whole time I was in high school, I never went to the community center. Then I stayed back because the lady wanted me to stay back from the speech class. And Paul, what's his name? One of the people, what's his name? Mike Pandolf sat behind me. I never had anything to do with Mike Pandolf. The only time he saw me out, called me up, I don't know, he got my number, asked me to go to the boxing gym with him. When that was the next year after my class had graduated. In other words, they were spying on me, and then they would put the rat mobs in to make it look like I knew them from the past. These are also some sheriffs involved with I forgot his name. People that lived near where the police department is now. Involved with names also further where the police department used to be, like where the town offices are. There are people on off the town offices. They have a whole bunch of ties to people who went to Afghanistan. And there's like an Afghanistan family with like a high-ranking guy. And his daughter is involved on off Trinity College and on off Zion Street with some people that say they're Los Solitos, who are also involved with the FBI, with predicate acts, child abuses, identity theft, fraud, slanders. There are 2 people with the names Joey Quest. One of them was online. Looks like maybe it's his kid. Involved with my past neighbors. There's a Terry. He's using the name Terry Lewis on Facebook. They blocked me from Facebook. They play these punk games. They make you call them a name or something like that, because they're doing all kinds of things, like, just, all kinds of federal crimes, fake evidences. They're using the right to lie where they don't have the right to lie, planting fake evidence and using that. They have roles with the principal sex offenders campus, forcing it. And with the people with New Britain Superior Court's Facebook page involved with it before that was caught, when they were forcing it. They fabricated emails with WTNH, fake emails, to hide their communications where had been over the phone. There was no email. And they also replace, they retype, make fake audio and video transcripts when you call the police. Because they called them when I was a kid. They went and dealt with them when I was a kid. They're all fake. I'm not going in with my family and speaking with them. They brought up those problems with the police brought it up. Wanted to communicate with me when I was a kid. Now that was also, there's this police chief Cintron, his daughter, and his extended family member. They're like a Mazzucato family with a Mazzucato bakery. Whole bunch of people tied to them. And this Fred Grisette recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed abuses of the kids of modern pastry too. Self-valued. They make them self-valuate, where they pretend they want privacy. And they have it's easy to lie about that. They pretend they want to care about their kids. You don't care about your kids, you pull them into these games. So there are a whole bunch of people with the intelligence community on and off Central Connecticut State University and associated with a Dean Alford. Dean Judd, rather. Dean Alford's from Trinity College. Now, on Facebook, they had two different faces of the Dean Alford. I only saw him one time. 2 times. The next day, I saw him standing with the Joshua Stryker. See, in other words, the girl, when I came around a corner, she asked me something. She asked me if my father was in the mafia when I was in high school. One of the ones involved with a whole bunch of natures of federal criminals proven since. And hadn't been proven at the time. They were using election laws to lie about my father, pretending that's illegal. And then they were applying those laws timed, where they're using corners of buildings, corners of streets. These are the same people involved with corners of streets. They have the families that at corners of on Griswold Street involved with abuses of their kids. There are abuses of a girl. I don't even know her name. I don't even know the family's names. There's a girl at the corner of that was still for her family, it was her grandparents or whatever, at the corner of Griswold and Fairlane Drive with a yellow house. Someone get them onto paper for me too, because there are some Russians too, people from other countries involved with them with time predicate acts and uses of that roles. So Wethersfield police have the police chiefs recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed by people involved with him. I'm reading through the newspaper. They're fabricating emails. They're fabricating police reports. They're fabricating news articles, and they're preventing writing at the courts that are personally involved with the criminals. The child abuses they forced. That principal child abuser got caught off campuses anyway. Now, these are people further then and now involved criminally with the kids at Sandy Hook, further criminally with the kids at Rocky Hill High School. And they keep delaying me response. Before the World Trade Center attack, and Eric Berger and others recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed to me and others, they are being influenced by people from involved with New Britain Superior Court and Hartford courts, needed to hide life progressions. They're planting evidence at locations, uses of their locations backwards criminally. Now, the Hartford court, one of the Hartford courts, criminally involved, offered, my father did a pro se labor suit against former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin. Pro se Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organization Act suit. And I was part of that case /S in a 2006 district court case. After it was proven post-dated documents had been presented to the panel of judges, which we had gone and witnessed right before the World Trade Center attack. Then we come home and we see that the World Trade Center was attacked. We were right next to it. And the people had been insidiously intercities with themselves and their families, timed natures of identity theft, fraud, slanders against me, insidious things like that, Those are the same ones that were timed on off the World Trade Center attack location the night before, Claudia Scalora. Scalora is one of the names that the Wethersfield police, one officer forced himself into my house, turned off his thing, and said, I don't want you to mess with the Scaloras. Makes it sound like I know him. I don't even know this officer's name now, too. And we need to get a response for the list of all the time they came to my house. They come here. You don't. Sometimes you just come out of nowhere and they have a whole bunch of cops, and they're lying about what brought them here. So we need to get them on paper with the Wethersfield police chief and his rat mob family. Rat mob. They want them to be called rat mob so they can pretend that they're you call it rat? You did something wrong. That's how fake they are. They play little punk trick fake games. So there's a Jessica Cintron I never saw around. I saw her in a picture. They brought her up. They don't care about her. They don't care. They value having their little. You must have at least one grandkid now because they have their roles with the principal sex offender. There's a Reno Mazzucato, too, pretended to know me at one of the schools criminally involved. Further then and now. And we had a football practice. And I was begged to go play in that football team. There's something to do with people who had communications with coaches. Even coaches I had. I never had a personal conversation with ever. Like Hagenbar. There's a coach Hagenbar involved with people in the intelligence community. And there's a Chet Casper who was also brought up by people at Hartford Hospital. They read things that were said to them, and then they look at you. And you don't say, if you don't say anything, God knows what they put anyway, though. So we have to get these people on paper because I never had anything to do with Chet Casper. People keep bringing his name up. He pretended other through time. These are people also with the spots next to at the buildings downtown Hartford near the state capitol. The people that own those buildings and stuff like that, they've been involved with identity theft frauds, especially if that was real. That a girl fell from the building that time. They might have made that up because there was just too much crazy stuff at once. There's also a serial killer personally criminally involved with them and with the spots involved, with the courts, like his body dumping spot, and that person himself, as the people also tied to Sandy Hook, Newtown kids, criminally involved with the kids intercities at the schools. So in other words, people need to make a living and things like that. They're going to ignore this. But it is so important because it was involved with the World Trade Center. It was involved with people criminally involved with judges. They attach Saudi families and students to fake words too. Fake ties to themselves, fake natures of ties to themselves, and their little rat mobs. They're little criminally foreign influenced evidence reception predators. Federal rules of evidences crime predators. Mail crimes predators. Wire crime predators. That's a wire crime. Fabricate emails with WTNH, with WFSB. Whole bunch of people from that, something to do with people they put in my, 2 times I took, in high school, I took cooking class. People from both times on those classes have roles with courts, criminally involved in the Britain, criminally involved with Rocky Hill, Elm Street and Rocky Hill. Those same people are criminally involved with names on and off Elm Street and Wethersfield. Criminally involved on and off the state judicial branch offices, right? That goes by there. That's it. Eric Oliveri, also on and off Trinity College, involved with these predicate acts, involved with this Joshua Stryker. Now, these are some foreign and domestic military families. Also some KKK themed and black themed identity theft, fraud, slanders, military police families. Little Justin Klavinskas, little weirdo. Little weirdo tries to get people in trouble. It has something to do with his roles with the corner of their roles, like with corners of streets, like there's like medical locations and highway entrance exits near the corner of Town Line Drive and Southstein Highway, for example. As people also involved criminally with the with all along Route 3, which goes by the state judicial branch offices. All along routes, they have criminal involvements with that. So they have a number of people with the name Joe DeMoro as Wethersfield Police, as people involved with other police forms that are involved criminally with the FBI and with former director of the FBI and his co-defendants before they got caught for various natures of federal crimes like pension thefts. In that context and since, I caught them too with this little girl. She went and they had sexual circles. Then she complains about right before my father's death. Heather Hansen reportedly confessed having been raped by a Joe DeMoro, one of the Wethersfield police criminally involved. There's also a Joe DeMoro from Rocky Hill, who's one of the ones involved on and off Trinity, Central Connecticut State University in New Britain. Also with the Heather Hansen, a whole bunch of people from Central Connecticut State University involved with that and with their uses of their roles with uses of like there's something to do with spots on the Berlin Turnpike, all along the Berlin Turnpike. People had three spots at the end of the Berlin Turnpike before the heart of Hartford. No, the Berlin Turnpike before the heart of Hartford. A pike is also a battle weapon. And our founders left us to demonstrate how and why they had to leave slavery, entrenched north and south. They had to force and they had to counter extort and force to help them. The people rose with slavery in the north and south in Wethersfield, Connecticut, right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War. Understanding that is more important than understanding the countless names. See, people use the knowledge of good and evil, or that's religious. They use knowledge to get over on, in other words. Also, the Old Testament. You're only supposed to read up to that part before all that crazy stuff in the Old Testament. It says all you have to know is right up to here. And the people of the sciences will come together because the sciences share an identity. When you bring up a subject like slavery, the identity the sciences share is demonstrated. Obviously, if slavery is standing, the people with the sociology are whacked out of their minds, which they still are. There's a Jamie Carone who's he also demonstrated it true. There's a Jamie Carone and two other classmates of his were recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, having been involved with various natures of federal crimes with judges and prosecutors and drugs, with kids and identity thefts and frauds. And one of them, Joe Lombardo, had a girlfriend who was put in one of the ones that was put in one of the cooking classes with me. These people would put plants in my classes, like this Mike DeMaine. Now there's a Rick Faglione that said he had someone put a fishing hook through his nose. One of the little rat trap fake tough guys. Justin Levinskis, one of the ones involved on and off Trinity College since he was a little kid with identity theft, fraud, slanders, with a Mark Violet, and there's an O'Brien family, a Timothy O'Brien and Andrew O'Brien. These are police forms families with Hartford Police, Rocky Hill Police, Wethersfield Police, criminally involved with them since they were little kids. Federal rules of evidence crimes. Other sick, identity theft, fraud, slanders, other natures of roles, with sexually natured crimes, and they're pretending their passions and emotions. I don't know if that was him standing in a dress when I was jogging by. Last time I saw him, that was the last time I saw him, or was the time he's like power walking. When I was coming and I was driving a car, I was coming around the corner, And Rick Faglione's father comes running. He's like, running, want to have a communications with me. See, these people planting evidences. When I was a little kid, they made a fake exception. The one time I know Rick Faglione, it was involved with a conversation with Tim O'Brien and Andrew O'Brien, starting fights between me and I don't know if they were involved with it, but they're doing hearsay. He said he said games. He said she said whatever. What is it called? Worse than hearsay racketeering. Playing games with one of the people, like the Ray Cololo. They brought up the name Cololo. A Wethersfield officer who called me on the phone said his name was Sullivan. Sounded like a guy with his voice crack. It might have been a female. They said they only have a female officer. But before they said that, they already been forging and switching names, the cops. So you can't get a response. So it makes it harder for you to talk. And about other things. They brought a whole bunch of people and things because they did timed intercities. The people on and off Trinity College in Hartford had also been timed on and off Central Connecticut State University in New Britain and on off my house in Wethersfield. They were making confessions to me. These are the people tied there. Then it makes it look like I know them there. NASA makes it look like I respond. I had no response when Rob Rodriguez said that his wife died. 2 times he walked by times when I was near my house. One, he said, "Oh, remember last time I walked by with a girl? She's dead now. She died of drugs." He's one of the ones with in other words. I never saw my area in my life before those 2 times. There were only 2 times. So these are police forums. These are their schools, intercities, interstates, international. They have people from Afghanistan. They have Eric Berger, who's also one of the people with the military with Afghanistan, involved with crimes with judges and prosecutors, and with his girlfriend involved with them criminally. And I don't know if it's his real name because they wrote it fake. Over the phone, the Hartford police said his name was Officer Hunter. And I don't know the name of the judge. I don't know the name of the girl too, because she used the name Emily and Amy. Now, these are the people that before the World Trade Center attack were involved with Eric Burgess, asking me and others for help because the whole courts were influencing him to do and say things he didn't want, including on off pretending ties to. I never saw him on the campus of Central Connecticut State University in my life. Dean Alford's Dean Judd's son also made confessions demonstrate confirmed roles with federal crimes with him. I made no response to it. I don't know him. He pretends to know me. Now, these are people that use Saudis as the people involved with the Scleras and others, and the former director of the FBI and his co-defendants, and the people involved with the post-dating documents from inside the Ninth Circuit Court, things that have been presented to the court timely and time-stamped timely. Insidiously, someone went in the court and post-dated the dockets to appear late. I don't know if they call it a docket. It was presented to a panel of judges that ruled it was filed late. After the World Trade Center attack was proven, it was filed on time. That was in Manhattan, right before the World Trade Center attack. So that proven then led to a 2006 district court case involved with the same people that had coordinated, the same cliques that had coordinated stuff the night before that too, outside my hotel room. A Claudia Sclera appeared. I had the insight not to have a word of conversation with because I already knew that name was involved with identity thefts and frauds. They should not have hid what I recorded as a kid. See, I caught my town's police chief a long time, police chief Cintron. I guess he's no longer the police chief now. And years ago, I don't know his name, one of them years ago had intimate ties at one of the houses involved with the Phil Cololo. There is with the Ray Claws and the Phil Claw and the others. There is, I don't know his sister's name. I forgot her name. Never had a conversation with my life. Ray Claw's sister. She got an officer that she's arrested too. I heard it's Newington police. And there's a guy named Britt who's one of the ones who set out names. They say your name, people's names to you, then they look at you to see what you're going to say. There are a whole bunch of crime methods that are used by the branches of government individually grouped and together, still criminally foreign influence, still delusions raw. See black pupils, whites of eyes. That's evidence. They cannot, when you see them online, when you see them, that's not politics. They don't even know how to defend themselves from each other. Because they try to speak it right. There are already some sick fakes that pretended they used courts and all that came before them to hurt people. They did worse crimes than the people, little boys and girls they put in prison even. They don't care, we can't legislate from the bench. That's one of the victims' things they're taught as victims. So they could defend it and they could have that applied against other people. In other words, so fake science is known. Fake news is real. Fake news, predicate acts. These are people on off the Wethersfield town offices with Afghanistan criminally, with Italy criminally, etc. Same people playing these games, prevent me writing. Interbranch too. I went that location. They put charges and they coupled it with confessions, and then they switched the arresting officer's name. You should see the little creepy scumbag Detective Samuda too. One of the ones they pretended he was arresting officer to replace who was the arresting officer. Who they also did or was a promise to appear too. I never saw him on campus. That Detective Samuda. Then they had some guy from East Hartford, Officer Magnanos. Has something to do with East Hartford's got a whole bunch of ties to corruption with courts names in New Britain and on off Central Connecticut State University and with the campuses. Like Rock Hill campus, Wethersfield campuses still have some sick fakes. Criminally involved with Central Connecticut State University when they were students too. So Johnson and Wales and Bryan College have some kind of roles with this, with the intelligence community. So apparently they're not just about what they claim on paper to be about. Cut down! They should fear God. Make sure they get on paper. Someone. That's why they make people not even seen. These are important things. Fake news. You can't just call people on the phone and have anything followed. I mean, in other words, you can't defend yourself peacefully. These are people involved with guns and bug spray and already proven murderers, a principal sex offender. These are people involved with the last time I saw, I'm not saying he killed anyone. I don't know anything about that. But last time I saw, Jack Johns, who's on the witness protection program. He was driving by that house associated with the Joshua Stryker and with the people at the post office, a family that worked for the post office. Across the street from him was a guy who worked at a Coca-Cola plant with shipping too now. I don't know his name. He apparently knows my name, where they attach everyone to fake words, fake ties to each other, fake natures, ties to each other. These are some dirty cops of the Wethersfield police. So someone get a response too, because that corner in Rocky Hill at Route 3 and Elm Street was criminally involved with my town's police chief and his family through other people since before they had a business there, since I was a little kid. So there's a Mazzucato bakery there now too. There's one on Franklin Avenue. Modern plate pastry. Please don't be scared of me. There's a Fred Grisette who recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed you were involved criminally with him. Also, with what I handed into school, you didn't go to my school, but I handed it into my school, and they hid it. They hid what I recorded. The law was for them to address that. Now, a Rick C.M. Faglione also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. Justin, I never saw, what's his name? That little weirdo kid. The kid tied to one of the military police tied to the Violet family. The Violet family also has roles with that woman who was dragged to her death from that spot where they had roles with that spot at the spots next to Hartford Hospital. She was dragged from, which was also DeMoro's. They used to have a store there. That's one of the Wethersfield police families. And on the other end of that street, I believe Elliott Street, is the ILO's kitchen. ILOs are also involved with them with federal crimes with the former Mayor Gold and with Facebook, with the courts and the police forms criminally involved with them. Identity theft, fraud, slanders, other natures of crimes with guns. I took part, I shot a gun when I was a little kid, at an angle downward, no one would get hurt. Anyone could get hurt when you shoot a gun. But that person was pretending passions and emotions about that out of nowhere. When he was involved with way worse, with that former Mayor Gold, too. And he's making things up. Federal rules of evidence is crimes. Now that's also, so they exploit the sense and sensibilities of everyone around everyone, where they're attaching everyone and everyone around them to fake words. Fake locations, fake ties to other people, fake natures of ties to other people. Connecticut news media, so stupid they attached my family to other than they had pleaded in cases. They lied about the outcome of cases. My father won an NLRB case against the little pension thieves, and other natures of federal criminals that had been pretending I was a federal criminal. And by the time I was involved with, and my father was involved with that when I was a kid, on and off my campus. At corners, no. I'm going to come around the corner. Someone makes a statement to me. Then when she got the answer, the same girl twice, she walked away. She didn't want to hear the answer. She didn't want to repeat what she heard. Then she, change what I said or whatever. I don't even know her name. But she's one of the ones. Then the next day, then she walked off in the cafeteria. I never saw where she went. I don't know where she is. I'm not going to, I should have chased her down. What are you talking about? Mafia and all this stuff. People don't care, though. These are people, so in other words, last time I saw Jack Johns, who was a guy who used to work on my father's job sites. My father was a labor steward. And they had a whole bunch of different natures of federal criminals on the job sites that were involved with the people that were pretending to be against such. And spreading slanders against me and my father, pretending they were illegally using election laws where you could lie about people. They have that applied. They have all readings of statutes, criminally foreign influence, delusions wrought, and that being having been applied at other locations, not just the interbranch, not just the private tie to them. The families that run the prisons and the campuses that train this, interstates. They're criminally foreign influenced. So Dean Judd, I don't even know his son's name. He knows my name. There's also people tied to a Wayne and people from other countries like Ireland involved with the Dean Judd and the Wayne with Berlin police criminally involved and with federal crimes with the Dean's kids and with the military police families at the locations next to campuses and next to that. So there's the body dumping spot of a serial killer. There is the serial killer himself. There's the witness protection program. The people on the witness protection program and the FBI associated with that, who all had timed criminally foreign influence uses of corners of streets near me. Last time I saw him was Jack Johns was driving by that corner. And he looked like, he wanted to stop, but he didn't want to be. We were looking, he was forced to do it. These are people that time where you're going to walk. These are people that use corners of buildings and corners of streets for fact-cheating nature-oriented federal crimes. You have a lot of emotions and passions being pretended against each other by these sick political parties. Fear. It's righteous here. Get them onto paper. Fix the fake news. WTNH. Please respond. Fix the fake emails and report. Make sure I get a response for the police chief's daughter and extended family further involved with child sex offenders, including the principal sex offender then and now. Hey! You better make sure you get on paper. What do I have to do? Now you have people involved with violence in my area, then playing passive aggression. They also have that phrase brought up by people. I had no conversation with them. By one of the little people, I don't know if it was an undercover, pretending to be a patient, because they force you for mental evaluation. The people that were also there, a whole bunch of people tied to fire departments. There's a fire department in West Hartford, with a house next to it, next to a school, involved with various natures of federal crimes, with the prosecutors and judges criminally involved. Also, there's a Brian Silver. I never had a conversation in my life. He's recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with this Leahy family. Two of the people, at least, with the name Brendan Leahy. And they have women in their family that work there. I believe his grandmother might even work there, because his lady said her name was Leahy. Looked like it might have been his grandmother, and another one reported his father. So they had a Rick Cianfaglione make all these confessions to me when I was in I never had anything to do with him. I remembered him from grammar school. Last time I saw him in grammar school, had something to do. We were going to play a game, like a war game. And then his mother, Tim O'Brien's mother, said his mother didn't want him to do it. And she wanted us to spray. Instead of throwing things at each other, eggs or whatever, she wanted us to spray whipped cream on ourselves. But they were just saying that because they were trying to make everyone look stupid. Now, there's also a judge. I know there's also a Mr. Johnson, who was the teacher of Tim O'Brien, who was one of the police forms, Hartford Police, Weatherfield Police, Rocky Hill Police. These are people also involved with Sandy Hook, Newtown, criminally with the kids, with the databases. A whole bunch of medical families criminally involved with psychology, psychiatry, with courts. The courts have roles. They rely on these people. Their delusions raw. They can't even afford paper now. They've been screwing people over since, they've been using, there's a sick kind of a person who wants to put innocent people in jail. Or even people for what, after what they've been involved with those kids. They're building those reactions, people shooting each other where there shoot a lot of shootings. People in the north end of Hartford, Those exploited kids at the gym and stuff like that. Then they get older, they making a confession about the guy. Oh, he's in my military unit. Some Dave. His family, I don't even know his family's name. They don't my name. They one of the involved with the houses next to the state judicial branch offices, involved with the military, with identity theft, fraud, slanders, with this Joe DeMoro involved with all these confessions about and demonstrations. His brother also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. I thought he was lying. Said he raped my sister, a John DeMoro. You think I don't want to have privacy? You guys prevent privacy. You make sure they get the fuck on paper. I forgot I addressed this to you, President Sweeney of Trinity College. So these are people involved with this, they maybe have badges, but they are some worthless pieces of junk. Make sure they get a response for this Joshua Stryker, and because the Eric Oliveri made a whole bunch of confessions about him too. The only time I ever saw him outside of campus, the only other time I saw him, one time, they got mad because I didn't want to sell drugs with them through UPS. Apparently, I thought, then they were pretending, all this stuff. There was no party there. I never went to a party at his house. There was a couple of people that were pit bulls walking around. These are some like white power KKK themed military police families and black themed, switching names. There's an MPO Floyd who also was involved with these military police. And now there are some people with forensics locations involved with the same house's names. Like this Phil Kalal. There's a Phil Kalal further by a Bob Chase, involved with various natures of courts, involved with crimes with child sex offenders. And his roles were supposed to be against such. He's furthering their lie progression cover-ups. Let's get these little crackpots onto paper. See that Whiting Forensics place they have Whiting Forensics place. The people that work there, they have a Sandy Hook, Newtown campuses, including a prison there. They have people involved with the principal child abusers campus, involved with wire crimes against me, other natures of federal crimes. There's also one of their prisoners made a whole bunch of confessions to me. First, he was going to try to assault me. He's involved with the name Cintron too. And then he called up Puerto Rico because he has ties to some guy and people. These are also people with the spots near there was an Omni place. It's no longer there, like a workout place, like some child place now. In Wethersfield. Now, there's a place near there, the whole bunch of people said Phil Claw was involved with it. There was like, I don't know if it's still a baby blue house. I don't know who lives there. Never saw him there. I don't know this Phil Claw. I walked by him a few times. And one time, I stepped in a car. Someone told me to get in a car. I was there near my high school. And then he came over and he got mad. And it was apparently the house of the neighbor of one of the Spada sisters, who's also involved with judges, apparently maybe in their family. But there's also in judges in a Della Fera family. And they have a whole bunch of boyfriends associated with them. You see these police families with the boyfriends of girls, they make confessions about the girls to others. And you're not going to say anything to the girl when they walk up to you. And and then you don't even know them after they pretend they know you. In other words, when you go back and you have to speak about the past, it makes you look like you were with them. You know them as groups. You guys were all friends. We hung around. No. So Tim O'Brien and Rick Cian Faglione did that. And he made confessions about this Leahy family. He says he's a bad guy. The father of the Brendan Leahy. Now, the father, Brendan Leahy, and the son, Brendan Leahy, attached me to fake conversations with themselves, used Hartford Hospital to do such. I don't know if he's friends with Mark Violet. I assume they were. Mark Violet also made confessions when I was in, when I met them right before I was going to go into high school. But then I had nothing to do with them. And so they were trying to make it look like I knew the people that were hanging around with each other when they were kids. The people that hung around with each other. And then, in other words, that Joseph Kavinskis, he's married to reportedly some girl who went to my grammar school. I had nothing to do with her ever. She walked up to me one time in high school, real quick with him. No, I had nothing to do with them. The only time I ever saw it, I didn't forget that exception. They try to make a fake exception, pretend you didn't realize, pretend that means like, because this is where they use time too fast, too slow in courts, while simultaneously they prevent writing in courts. They prevent communications in courts. In other words, they have lawyers also criminally involved with them. There's Trantolo and Trantola, whose roles fabricating audio and video and wire crimes with the phones of WFSB, involved with their wire crimes also with their news stories, forcing with lies that you effectively use to force sexual, medical, judicial, educational, and other natures abuses of the kids. These are people further with the mental health at the schools. They left this out when they have a school where they have a whole bunch of kids petitioning because they want a mental health spot. You kids are missing. If you honestly have a mental problem, that's a legitimate, anyone will be mentally upset. You say you're mentally upset, they're going to switch it into a mental diagnosis with some delusions, wrought, sick-natured people, and their whole generations of their families criminally involved with them. So then after he graduated, they affected Rick Cianfaglione to confessions to me and to seek me out and invite me over to his house. They had a fake party where they had people with the New Britain Superior Court and with the intelligence community that are planting fake things with me. And there's a Kevin Harris who also was involved with the daughter of the principal when I was in the principal child abuser school, who's also involved with identity thefts and frauds. His mother's also involved with the mental health community, identity thefts, frauds for the little rat trap kids, putting fake things in databases, affecting kids to go speak fake things about others they don't even know, planting people in my classes. Make sure they get on paper. Make sure. And to President Berger Sweeney, please make sure that I get a response for the whatever this Joshua Stryker said to Dean Alford, because he said stuff that wasn't true. And it was timed on off campuses and intercities. There were more people on my street that had been intercities criminally involved with him timed. So I had to delay telling him. Then they made that even worse by stacking more little tricks to prevent me from getting a response because they're using time criminally. They make people forget things. They lie. They have to lie more and more about people things. So there are a whole bunch. There's a Thomas Potter. There's a Potter family. I never had anything to do with the Potter family. They have something to do with Mike Pandolf is also involved with identity thefts, frauds, and slanders against me with the families that work with this Potter family on off the middle school and on off the state judicial branch offices. I had a Mr. Potter. I never had a problem with him. I liked him. He said he had a boxing, 1 or 3 boxing fights. I forgot if it was 1 or 3. I never had a personal conversation with him. These are people that were using that classroom. And also, there's a Chet Casper, who's one of the ones that keeps being repeated. I never had a class with him in my life, Chet Casper. He was also recorded and confessed, demonstrated, telling lies about me to the people on the state judicial branch officers and their family members, like a Mr. Potter, which a Thomas Potter confirmed on Facebook. Sought me out to make confessions. Also, be a punk. You have more. I don't know if that's the one who was one. There's a guy with a I think it's a guy with a red pickup truck involved with their kids, and with they have a picture. He puts a picture of himself up with the kids, and he's got the Cub Scouts. You know, I don't know if the Cub Scouts are back in session or what, but he's got the Cub Scouts, and he's got to put himself near the pond, near the state judicial branch offices, and they get the like trying to get the hell out of here. Get these people on paper. These people, because the mom, the guy who was out playing games with kids in the field that aren't even from the area, as one of the ones who confirmed. I said to make sure I get a response. I didn't get a response from that campus yet. See, these people are covering their life progressions because they've been in background sick, fake punks using people's names, pretending to be able to speak for their own passions, emotions, or anyone else's. They have delusions at the same time that are relevant. These are doctors' delusions raw. I'll help you delineate the delusions from their criminally foreign influenced natures. Notice, so I know what they did. I had nothing to do with this Mark Violet and his friend. They were going to try. Then I made a friend from another town when I was a freshman. So I had nothing to do with them, and they forged relationships with each other. And the people that forged relationships with each other, that were involved with police reports, other natures of federal crimes with evidences, then they're pretending to know me now years later. In other words, I knew that. That's why I never had anything to do with them. So it had something to do with their positions and their families' roles with the intelligence community at these campuses. Central Connecticut State University trains people to run prisons. They train people all kinds of things. Police form state police are reportedly trained to them. Since when have we had people capable of speaking for the law? Look at New York City. Look at Hartford, Connecticut. So you have politicians speak. Certain type of victim predator, punk. That's all that's spoken for Hartford, Connecticut. What's really the problem? What's really the difference between the schools? They're each sickly, distinctly hiding the identity the sciences share, which is observable when you bring up a subject like slavery, for example. The sociology is all messed up. There's a James Carone who confirmed sought me out to be a little punk on Facebook. He's a little creepy person too. If you see him in real life, you could tell. Him and two other people were in my class. One of them named Chloe had been involved with federal crimes before that, with evidences, forced to roles too, and also their own, with the Wethersfield Police, Hartford Police families, involved falsifying police reports, and with Judge Smith speak fake things into records. Judge Killian speak fake things into records. Sequence shifts. These are people planting fake records into records. Fear God. Make sure you get them on paper. I'll show you how to clean up these judges' minds and souls with the prosecutors, with the police forms, and with the federal criminals and killers involved, and body dumping spots. The body dumping spot of Billy Grosso also has a Fianza family that also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed houses next to the state judicial branch offices involved with their family and self, criminally involved. With the body dumping spot of Billy Grosso. And with his confessions about that and other things, and then pretending not to realize. And with he's got roles with the people that run the buildings next to Fox Connecticut News, criminally involved with these Mendez police. And that also worked for the clubs there, who are involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders against me. Now he says that there's a Allegros Cafe involved criminally, and there's a guy, I don't know if that's him. I assume it was him, who non-verbally demonstrated was too. walking down the hallway, like a little fake punk, you know. But apparently he owns the building of or one of the owners in downtown Hartford. Come down the stairs, then I look around. He's like, then his courage goes away. And me, I'm not aggressive. I don't even notice. Weirdo. They're trying to do weird things they were doing at times. Has something to do with these Mendes police and the domain police at the spots there, like with the clubs, and I don't know if the now people us from Central Connecticut State University also have all kinds of ties to downtown Hartford, Central Connecticut State University in New Britain, Connecticut. They have all kinds of ties with criminally with the people at the locations next to the state capitol there, like Fox Connecticut News with their wire crimes. They were and the wire crimes with their phones too. You tell them to fix their stories, they're not going to fix it. Those stories are applied criminally foreign influenced, criminal insidious natures of positive negative illusions, identity theft, fraud, slanders. They have roles with a whole bunch of natures and methods of organized crime. Methods that our founders left us to demonstrate. And they're recorded so we could all observe them. Fix the fake news. Fake branches bow then fall.